Hello, my dear students. So, now today we will start a new topic which is biological classification, and it is the next chapter. So, till now we have been discussing about the diversity in the living world, where we have seen that how numerous wonderful organisms of different kinds, different varieties have been appreciated by the naturalists over a long period of time, and how they have uh, gathered the detailed information, and how they have categorized different taxons or taxa, and different groups or categories have been arranged in a hierarchical order. We also have seen that there are different ways how you can systematically study different characteristics of the organisms, and how you can appreciate in order to understand the diversity in the living world. We have seen various features and characteristics of the living organisms. So keep all those things in mind, and now we move forward to the next chapter, where we will now study the very important component of the taxonomy. So we already have seen that in the taxonomy, what we study identification, we study nomenclature, and characterization. Okay, so that is the taxonomy. In taxonomy, you have three components. If you consider the evolutionary relationships also along with the taxonomic studies, then this is called as systematics, as we already have seen, right? So now, to bring you all on the same platform, we already have discussed the importance of classification, and how the information and the detailed characteristics are arranged in different uh, uh, maybe herbaria or in different museums. So in the biological classification, we will see now, first we will see the introduction, that what actually does it mean, and what is the history, how people used to classify the different kinds of lakhs of organisms which are available on the earth. And then we will study the categories which are well accepted and established now after the biological classification. So all the living organisms have been divided into different categories, and we already have seen that there are seven obligate categories, right? Seven obligate categories, starting from species going to the final or the uppermost or highest ranking, which is called as kingdom. So all the organisms initially were divided only into two kingdom, but eventually in the 20th century, late 20th century, rather mid 20th century, it was proposed that let all the organisms be divided into five kingdoms. So we will see these kingdoms: kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. So we will discuss about the characteristics and features, and how the organisms are placed into one kingdom or the other. Okay, so this is again a very interesting chapter, again a very sort of inquisitive, because here we will be discussing different kinds of organisms, and we will be appreciating their criteria and characteristics, how they can be placed into different categories or groups or the taxa. So as you all know that the early attempts for the biological classification were made not very systematically, and they were not very scientific classifications. Rather, the early attempts were based on the instinctive understanding of the people of those times. So they took only the general features, usually only the morphology or the external features, external appearance of the organisms was considered. Some other people also considered some uh, other key important characteristics like habitat, हैबिटेट मीन्स यानी कि जहाँ पे कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म, हम सिंपल वर्ड्स में से बोल सकते हैं कि जहाँ पे कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म रहता है, उसके आसपास की जो सराउंडिंग है, जिस भी कंडीशंस में वो सरवाइव करता है, जो उसका टेम्परेचर है, सॉइल का कंडीशन है, मॉइस्चर है, या वेजिटेशन है वहाँ पे, ये सब चीज़ें हैबिटेट में आ जाएंगी. तो बेस्ड ऑन द हैबिटेट्स ऑल्सो मैनी पीपल करेक्टराइज्ड. सो the earliest attempt, which was a little bit more useful and it was more systematic, was made by Aristotle. So as you all know that Aristotle is father of a lot of things, including the father of biology, father of zoology, and he also gave lot of insights about the evolution. So the previous classifications, the earlier, the old classifications, were actually based on the very primitive criteria, or the very apparent morphological criteria or habitat differences, and it was mainly based on the use of the that particular organism. कोई प्लांट है जिससे लकड़ी इस्तेमाल में होती है, तो वो जितने भी लकड़ी देने वाले प्लांट है वो सबको एक कैटेगरी में रख दिया गया. ठीक है, तो इस तरह से कुछ अगर मेडिसिन का कोई फ़ायदा मिल रहा है तो उन सबको एक कैटेगरी में रख दिया गया. सो दिस इज़ हाउ many animals or plants or whatever organisms, be it microscopic or uh, whatever was known at that time, intuitively they were placed into different categories, but it was not a scientific classification. So Aristotle for the first time attempted the scientific classification of the living organisms, but he also took very crude criteria, and he took very general characteristics and very general ways uh, to categorize or to sort them out into different groups. So one very important thing which you must know and remember from exam as well as competition point of view is that Aristotle uh, categorized all the living organisms. Mainly, he considered the plants and animals, and he told that let all the plants be divided into three groups, and he divided the plants into tree, shrub, and herb. ओके, तो प्लांट्स को अरिस्टोटल ने तीन ग्रुप्स में बांटा. ट्री यानी जितने भी वुड गिविंग प्लांट्स हैं, बड़े प्लांट्स जो होते हैं, उन सबको उसने ट्री में रखा. उसके बाद श्रब यानी झाड़ी झंखाड़ी वगैरह जो होते हैं. सो ऑल दिस काइंड ऑफ द प्लांट्स विच आर नॉट गिविंग द wood or which are not giving the timber, but they are not the uh, simple soft or pliable materials or uh, grassy substances, so they were categorized into the shrubs. So all the hedges or these kind of plants were grouped into the shrubs. Then herbs included all the all the grasses or the grass like plants. So all the green herbaceous plants were put into that. Similarly, for the animals, he put them into two categories. He distinguished them into uh, two clear categories based on the presence or absence of the red blood. So all the red-blooded animals were placed into one group, and all those having not the red blood were placed into another group. So this is what Aristotle had attempted. Okay, so this was in the before Christ times, and then people started different classifications. Let me also tell you that based on the habitat, like if you take the uh, whale, which is a fish for the layman, but Aristotle also categorized whale into the fishes, okay, because it shares the habitat, the aquatic habitat with the fishes. But later on, upon systematic observation and studies, it was found that whale is actually a mammal, it is not a fish. So it was placed into a different category. And as you all know that mammals are very very different from the fishes, and they have a great evolutionary distance from each other. However, the whales are adapted to the aquatic environment, right? So the old classification system which became very famous and which was used till a very recent time uh, is actually the two kingdom classification or two kingdom system of the classification, and it was given by the Carolus Linnaeus. He was a very great scientist, as we already have discussed in the previous chapter, that Carolus Linnaeus gave binomial nomenclature, where he uh, gave the detailed guidelines and rules that how the organisms, be it plants or animals, can be named, and what are the essential guidelines or rules it should be followed, so that their systematic identification and systematic taxonomic studies can be performed. Okay, so the same Carolus Linnaeus also had published uh, huge data sets, huge books or treatises, as we already have seen that he mentioned the details about thousands of the plants in a book, and then he wrote a separate book for the animals. Okay, so Linnaeus gave the two kingdom system of the classification. And what is the two kingdom classification? So this two kingdom classification is again a very important topic. It's very important for especially from the board point of view. So in the two kingdom system, all the organisms have been divided into the kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. So Plantae included all the organisms, be it microscopic or the larger organisms, but if they are able to behave like plant, that means if they are green in appearance, or if they do photosynthesis, that means if they can synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis, they were placed into the kingdom Plantae. And all the organisms which cannot synthesize their own food, and they are mobile, they can move around, so they were placed into the kingdom Animalia. This was, and he gave the detailed characteristics and features uh, like a true taxonomist in his treatises, in his famous books, which he wrote for the plants as well as for animals. So because of his great volume of the work, his system was accepted, and it was very useful, and it was used for a very long time till very recent times. But nowadays we no longer use two kingdom classification, but rather currently the most accepted, rather the most common system of classification is the five kingdom classification, which was given by R.H. Whitaker, which was proposed in 1969, which we will be discussing in more detail later on. So, before going to discuss the other kingdoms in addition to the kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia, let us see a little bit more detail about the two kingdom classification. So, what are the characteristics based on which Linnaeus actually gave uh, these two categories? Actually, he very roughly or very sort of in a uh, not in a very proper systematic way, he categorized these uh, all organisms into two groups. But as we all have seen, we all have studied in your previous classes, that the if you see them at the cellular level, the prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms are actually very different. And The prokaryotes and eukaryotes have a very different kind of the not only cellular structure but uh, their basic organization, their basic mechanism, how the cell operates, and even the complexity of the organism or the complexity of the cellular physiology or the cellular reactions, everything varies. Uh, Also, usually the eukaryotes are having much larger in size as compared to the prokaryotes. Uh, I think you all must be remembering that prokaryotes are those organisms which lack the nucleus, right? जो सेल होता है, सेल के अंदर स्ट्रक्चर जो होता है क्या होता है, सेल के अंदर न्यूक्लियस होता है, राइट, और न्यूक्लियस के अंदर डीएनए होता है. तो कोई भी सेल जिसके अंदर न्यूक्लियस नहीं है तो उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं, प्रोकैरियोट्स, राइट. और जो सेल न्यूक्लियस के साथ होता है, जिसके अंदर न्यूक्लियस होता है और फिर उस न्यूक्लियस के अंदर उसका डीएनए होता है, उसका जेनेटिक मटेरियल होता है, उस सेल को क्या बोला जाता है, यूकैरियोट्स. तो लिनियस ने जब क्लासिफिकेशन दिया तो नाउ लेट अस डिस्कस सम डिसएडवांटेजेस और द शॉर्ट कमिंग्स. तो लिनियस ने जब क्लासिफिकेशन किया ये किंगडम प्लांटी और किंगडम एनिमलिया का, तो उसने क्या किया कि ही पुट द फोटोसिंथेटिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स इनटू द प्लांटी एंड the animals or the mobile organisms which do not synthesize their own food into the animals. But he did not consider whether they are eukaryotes or they are prokaryotes. That means prokaryotes were put into both the categories and eukaryotes were also put into both the categories, right, which seems very unnatural or very illogical, right. क्योंकि जब सेल का एक सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट है जो कि न्यूक्लियस बोला जाता है, तो अगर उस न्यूक्लियस के लेवल पे अगर डिफरेंसेस हैं और उसके बाद भी अगर आप उसको सेपरेट नहीं कर रहे हो, दैट मीन्स दिस इज़ नॉट ए वेरी गुड सिस्टम ऑफ द क्लासिफिकेशन. सो व्हाट शुड हैपन, दैट प्रोकैरियोट्स एंड यूकैरियोट्स शुड नॉट हैव बीन प्लेस्ड टुगेदर. And what Linnaeus had done, based on the rules or based on the system which was proposed by Linnaeus, many eukaryotes and prokaryotes were clubbed together in the kingdom Plantae. Similarly, many eukaryotes and many prokaryotes were clubbed together in the kingdom Animalia as well. Okay, another great interesting shortcoming which was noticed, that he also did not bother about the cellular complexity of the organism. That means if the organism is unicellular or multicellular, it does not matter. He did not separate the organisms if they are unicellular and if they are multicellular. So based on these two kingdom system of the classification, many unicellular and multicellular organisms were put together, just like the prokaryote and eukaryote system, which seems not very reasonable, right. यूकैरियोट्स के साथ में आप प्रोकैरियोट्स को रख रहे हो, यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स के साथ में आप मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स के को रख दे रहे हो, तो ये एक बहुत सिस्टमेटिक क्लासिफिकेशन नहीं माना जाएगा. सिमिलरली many photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic organisms were also put together, and for many organisms it was found very difficult that how to uh, put them in which category. For example, अगर आप ब्लू ग्रीन algae को लें, तो ब्लू ग्रीन algae और BGA, जिसको साइनोबैक्टीरिया भी बोला जाता है, तो ब्लू ग्रीन algae एक्चुअली में एक प्रोकैरियोट है, और ब्लू ग्रीन algae प्रोकैरियोट है, लेकिन ये एक algae है, इसका कलर ब्लू ग्रीन होता है और वो फोटोसिंथेसिस करता है, तो उसको उसने प्लांट में रखा. ओके, बट ये एक प्रोकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिज्म है और यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म है, तो इसको जो जनरल प्लांट्स हैं उनके साथ रखना बहुत यूज़फुल चीज़ नहीं है, यह बहुत प्रॉपर तरीका नहीं है. सिमिलरली कुछ ऑर्गेनिजम्स जैसे कि फंगस हो गया, फंजाई, तो फंजाई यानी फंगस का जो सेल्स है, तो अगर हम सेल के डिटेल स्ट्रक्चर पे जाएं, तो जो प्लांट्स है The plants have a rigid body structure, right? They cannot move around, and the plant cell always having the cell wall, which provides the rigidity and strength, right? But these fungi, these organisms were not photosynthetic, they were not green, they were not able to synthesize their own food, but they were having the cell wall, which provides the very rigid structure to the organism. So now it became very difficult where to put. So people started putting the fungi based on the presence of the cell wall into the kingdom Plantae. However, they were not doing the photosynthesis. So in this way there was lot of abnormality or lot of uh, inadequacy which was creeping into the two kingdom system of the classification, and that is why a new system of the classification was needed. So finally two kingdom system of classification was found inadequate, and instead of just classifying the organism based on the gross morphology or the general structure and general characteristics of the organism, which was done earlier by the Carolus Linnaeus, it was felt that a detailed, proper, systematic uh, uh, way should be used. A detailed, proper, systematic criteria should be there, which should guide the characterization and which should guide the classification of the organism into different kingdoms. So Carolus Linnaeus had proposed the two kingdom system of the classification, and it was based on the gross morphology. It was not based on the very detailed structure, and it was actually a artificial system of the classification. This is very important. The classification system which was given by Carolus Linnaeus was an artificial system of the classification. It was not a natural system of the classification, because if you want a natural system of the classification, you should take as many characteristics as much possible. But Carolus Linnaeus did not took so many characteristics, rather he considered the gross morphology and habitat and very few general characteristics only for this classification. So because of the inadequacy which was felt later on, people started doing the classification based on not only the gross morphology, but they also started using other criteria, other characteristics. The detailed characteristics were taken into account. So people started studying not only morphology but also the internal structure. Similarly, cell structure, the cellular structure, or the presence or absence of the cell wall was also taken as a very important criteria for the classification of the organisms. Similarly, mode of nutrition, mode of reproduction. ओके, मोड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन का मतलब क्या हुआ, जैसे कुछ ऑर्गेनिज्म है फोटोसिंथेटिक है, कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म है जो सेप्रोफाइटिक है, कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म है जो डिकम्पोजिशन करता है, डिकम्पोजर है, ठीक है, कोई ऑर्गेनिज्म है जो कोई फूड पार्टिकल है उसको सीधा एनगल्फ कर लेता है, खा लेता है, यानी फैगोसाइटोसिस करता है। कोई दूसरा ऑर्गेनिज्म है जो पाइनोसाइटोसिस करता है, यानी उसको ड्रॉपलेट्स के फॉर्म में उसको स्लोली उसको वन ड्रॉप आफ्टर अनदर ड्रॉप जो है टेक इन करता है। तो इस तरह से मोड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन की बेसिस पे भी कैरेक्टराइजेशन और क्लासिफिकेशन किया गया। सिमिलरली मोड ऑफ रिप्रोडक्शन, यानी एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन है या सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन है, ठीक है, या माइटोसिस हो रहा है, मियोसिस हो रहा है, गैमीट फॉर्मेशन हो रहा है, या गैमीट्स जो बन रहे हैं फर्टिलाइजेशन हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है, या गैमीट्स सिमिलर हैं या डिसिमिलर हैं। ओके, तो ये सारी क्राइटेरिया जो है कंसीडर किए गए। सिमिलरली उसका हैबिटेट क्या है, एक्वेटिक हैबिटेट है, सॉइल में रहता है या लैंड पे रहता है, ट्री पे रहता है, ये सारी चीज़ें भी देखी गई। And eventually at last the very important characteristic, which is evolutionary relationship, that how evolutionarily one organism is related to another organism, was also considered. So based on these detailed characterization, based on these detailed criteria, a more proper, a more systematic and scientific system of classification evolved, and starting from the two kingdom system of the classification, which was an artificial system of the classification given by Carolus Linnaeus. A third kingdom was proposed, uh, and third kingdom which was proposed was kingdom fungi, and then after the three kingdom system of the classification, four kingdom system of the classification or four kingdom classification was given. Then eventually the five kingdom system classification was given. So five kingdom classification, which was given by R.H. Whittaker in 1969, became the most famous, most useful, and it is most widely used, and it is in practice even today. So now in this introductory lecture, we have discussed the artificial system of the classification, which is also called as two kingdom system of the classification. We will further discuss about the five kingdom system of the classification in the coming discussions and lectures. So now I request you all to note down all these important points and get back to me if you have any doubts or you need any clarifications. Okay, happy learning. Bye bye. Thank you.